Is the Delta SkyMiles Gold Card still worth it in 2024? The answer is yes, but, and I repeat, but, only for a certain category of people. My goal into this video is to show you which category of people that is, and hopefully you happen to fall in that category. So now, what is this card? This is a card that is a partnership between American Express and Delta, where it allows you to basically to own this American Express card, and all the expenses that you put on the card earn you some points or miles, and you can use those miles to redeem for Delta flights. We're going to subdivide this video in two parts. The first part would be me running down through the basic perks that you get for owning this card and how much you have to spend on an annual basis for owning this card. And then the second part would be where we'll be going into the details of how I personally use this card to extract some value out of it. Meaning that how I use the card to actually save me some money. Now let's run down to the basic perks of owning this card. First, American Express offers this card in your first year for free. So you have a zero introductory fee. And then in the second year and thereon after, you have to start paying $99 every year. And then American Express is also offering this introductory promotion of if you spend $2,000 in the first 6 months, you get about 40,000 bonus miles. And so guys, now the other thing too is when you have this card, let's say you get about 2x miles on dining, you get about 2x miles on groceries, and also 2x miles on Delta purchases. And the next thing is, because you own this card, whenever you're boarding on a Delta flight, you get to check in your first checked bag for free. That right there, guys, is great, because to check a bag with Delta, it's about $30. And I'm going to explain exactly how I use these perks. Now I'm just giving you the information at face value. And the next thing is you get to have priority boarding. So you get to board in main cabin 1. And this is one of the things that I like, because when you board in main cabin 1 and you get to board, after, first class and comfort class. And so you board in, there is enough overhead space. You're not crowded with a lot of people. You get to sit and just settle in and then let everybody else come in later on. And the next thing is, guys, you actually get a $100 flight credit every year when you spend about $10,000 in a calendar year. You don't have to spend $10,000 at Delta, but when you spend $10,000 in expenses on the credit card, so even your everyday expenses count. And the next thing is you have a 15% discount when you pay for Delta flights with miles or points. And then you also get about 20% back when you do in-flight purchases. So now, some of the other perks and experience that I like with having an American Express card in general, or just American Express and this American Express and Delta SkyMiles card is, guys, I know that Delta can be an expensive route, but I think for me, what is more important is peace of mind. And I love peace of mind. So Delta does offer a really great service. It's a reputable airline in America, and they are very reliable. Their flights are usually on time. They have great service. They are very flexible when you want to change flights. And guys, you just have this peace of mind when you're traveling, guys. The last thing that I want to have when I'm traveling is be stressed. I like to just have my peace of mind, and Delta provide me that. I understand that it can be an expensive route, but guys, safety and peace of mind is much more important for me than money. And the next thing is, guys, you can get also free complimentary upgrades to like Comfort Plus. I've had these like through 2 or 3 times when I'm traveling where I was in main cabin 1 and then they upgraded me to Comfort Plus. So this is great. You get to have a really great seats, a lot more space, and just feel good about yourself. Right? And the other thing is you also have access to exclusive American Express only event. So where only American Express credit card holders have access to that kind of event. Or like in my case, I went to a soccer game, and some stadiums and arenas in America have this American Express line where you get to not be in general boarding, but you get to enter in the American Express line where there's less people, less hassle. You get to get into the stadium or arena and sit on your seats and not have to be around and cluttered around a lot more people. Let's now get into how I actually use this card to extract value. I've had this card for about roughly a year and a half. I joined in June of 2022. And so I have the card since then until now. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take 2022 as my first year and 2023 as my second year, even though I only had the card for about half of 2022, just for simplicity's sake and for to make the calculations much easier. So guys, now in 2022 when I got the card, what I had done is I had a big expense to do at the time. So I spent over $2,000 in like my first month of having the card, and I received 40,000 bonus miles. And so guys, in December of that year, I know I had traveled much more in 2022, but before June, I had traveled like maybe 4 times. But then later on that year, I think I traveled in November. But then in December of that year, when I was traveling, guys, I actually traveled for free. And what I did was there was a flight from Portland, Oregon to Salt Lake City that was about 46,000 miles. And I had 46,000 miles. And that flight in monetary value was worth around $450. So what I did was I paid 46,000 miles or points toward the flight, and then I only had to pay about $11.2 out of pocket. So then when I also flew, guys, I also checked in a bag, and with Delta, your first bag that you check in that is below 50 pounds, it costs about $30. So when we do the math, in the first year, I had a 0 introductory fee, so I didn't pay the $99. So now what I'm doing is I'm considering that $99 as a credit that the American Express gave me. So $99 plus the 46,000 miles that I paid toward the flight, which was worth about $450. And then the $30 for the flight that for the check bag that I checked in on my December flight to Salt Lake City, Utah, and then minus $11.2 from the fees that I paid for that flight. So the total for my first year is about $567.8, guys. So that's what I spent in my first year. In my second year, in 2023, I had to pay the $99 annual fee. So I paid that. That is my first expense. In 2023, I traveled about 7 times. That's roughly about once every 2 months. And this is where I was going into why this card is, I would think, for the type of people that this card is first for the people that, you know, they like to have peace of mind and they value security and also having great service and flexibility, but also people that travel at least 5 times a year. Then I think this would be worth it for you. If you just want to have, you know, just have low spending as far as like annual payment of only $99, but still have access to perks that can help you save. And I think this is great. So I traveled 7 times. Sorry, I got on a tangent there. I traveled 7 times and I paid $99 in annual fee for the credit card. So now I also spent more than $10,000 on this card in 2023. So I also did get a $100 flight credit. Another thing was on one of my my travels, I had rented a car on Turo, and so they had this promotion where if you are a first-time Turo user, when you book a trip on Turo with this American Express card, you get a 2,500 bonus points, a 2,000 bonus, actually 2,500 bonus points or miles for being a first-time user. But also, if you spend more than $150, you get $30 back. So guys, these are some of the things that I'm just listing that I had in 2023. And the last thing here is I had a flight to Reno, Nevada in November of 2023, Reno, Tahoe, Nevada. And I paid for that flight with half miles and half money out of pocket. The flight itself was worth about $367. So I used about 19,000 points. And then I paid $191.2 out of pocket. So if I do 367 minus 191.2, that's about $175.8 that I didn't have to spend, that I saved because I paid with those 19,000 miles. So then now I traveled 7 times. That means on all those 7 flights, I actually checked in my bag. So then let's do $30 times 7. That is $210 that I didn't have to pay, that I saved. So now let's do the final math. Let's just say the 2,500 miles that I gained for the tour booking is worth about $15. So we do $15 plus the $30 that I got for tour still for spending more than $150 on tour. That's a total of $45. Let's do $45 plus the $175.8 that I saved on my flight to Reno, plus the $210 that I saved for the 7 bags that I checked on all my 7 trips, minus the $99 that I spent in annual fee. That's a total of $331.8 that I saved in my second year, guys. That is pretty good. So then now when we do the grand total for my first 2 years, my first year and a half, that's a total of about $899.6, roughly $900 that I saved, guys. So for me, saving $900 on flights, because I frequently fly about, about once every 2 months, I think it's worth it for me, for having peace of mind, for having flexibility, knowing that I can cancel my flights and not lose the money or the bonus that I paid with, but also having a great service, but also being able to save and having perks like boarding in main cabin 1, sometimes even getting upgraded to Comfort Plus, having able to go to certain events or and have like American Express access. Guys, all of these things are things that I enjoy. And if you happen to be in this category and you also enjoy these things and you also value peace of mind and security and flexibility and great service, and you think that that is more important than just saving money when you fly, but then you fly miserably, because we've seen what happens on flights like Spirit Airlines. Anyway, this is why I think this card is still worth it. So I hope that I provided you with enough value in this video. And if that was the case, please allow me to ask you to hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell, because that helps us with the YouTube algorithm to get our message to a wider audience. Thank you, and I'll see y'all in my next video. Bye-bye.